Yo, this is the Ren review, right? This is gonna be our first live stream with the guest on here. On this show, we have Do It with the Don Tom, right? And if you've been in the Brago community in the Brago airways, you already know who this is, obviously, dude. This guy is just, I mean, I only recently started this channel and almost right from the get go, this dude just kind of popped up and gave his 2 cents, and kind of like, I mean, he gave me like pretty cool pointers, support, because I mean, he's been in it a while longer than me, and I thought that was sick, dude. Because I mean, that's kind of part of the reason why I wanted to do these things. I wanted the community is what like seeing the things with the Reverie and like Brago, Rogers Base, Teching, all these people coming together in collaboration. That aspect of it is you don't find that all the time. So that was kind of what kind of drew me to this. But anyways, this is Do It with the Don Tom. You can check out his channel. He does a lot of content on One Piece. He also does live streams. You also talk about Kingdom, right? Or
Yeah, I talk about Kingdom. Rikido. It's kind of like a review show. I do
oh
kind of
yeah,
like the different series and stuff like that. I'm gonna start trying to do more of theories on my channel now instead of
right, right.
discussions.
I think I've seen you've kind of started dipping your toes into that too, right? I've seen you started to do a bit more, not theory based, but almost speculation in the same ballpark, right? With some of your things.
Yeah. I've been trying to like keep up with everything, far as how my videos go. But I know I've been stagnant for a while now. So I want to start trying to switch it up a bit and do something new with it. Coming
Right.
soon.
That's no, yeah, because I see you like constantly trying to improve. That's I mean, like it inspires me because I'm still pretty new at this, especially with editing and shit. And when I look at your streams, I'm like, damn, like this little simple things, a lot of these things I'm still yet to put
Yeah.
together. You know what I mean? But so check out his content, dude. It's fire, and not only that, he's one of the nicest, most authentic people out here in this community. So go check it out.
Appreciate it.
Always, bro. So in this stream, we want to talk about kind of the origin story of the discovery, or rather, how we kind of fell into One Piece, how we really kind of got into the manga and what have you. But not only that, but just first impressions, maybe just things that the first things we've seen. I mean, go ahead, Don. I mean, Martin, right?
Yeah.
You're right. Your real name's Martin. Right?
Can't hear you.
Go ahead and just, I think my headphones came out. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Uh, Go ahead and let the people know. What was your first encounter with One Piece?
Well, first of all, my real name is Martin,
Martin,
but I
right?
go by
Yeah,
Do It with a Don Tom for the
right.
channel. So it's kind of new to me, starting to express myself a little bit more out there and stuff like that. So bear with me. I
No, I
started
mean
off
you.
watching.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I started off watching One Piece during the time I was in school, elementary, not elementary. Yeah, I remember now. It was elementary, and I used to always get off of school and go home, turn on the TV. I always watch cartoons constantly on
Right,
Saturdays, on the weekdays, cartoons, just period. And there was this one cartoon series that they always did on channel 33, uh, the Warner Brothers show. The Warner Brothers. studio show, something like that.
Right. 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 Right.
And they had Bugs Bunny, Jackie Chan,
Hell yeah.
Peaky in the Brain, just stuff like that. And then they debut One Piece, and to my surprise, it was great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you first saw it on TV as a kid, you were like, were you automatically into it? Were you kind of did it grow on you? How did it attach
It
itself
grew
to
on me
you?
so fast. It grew on me so fast, man. You wouldn't even know it. Like it. I mean, I could tell by now. It's kind of mediocre compared to the real anime. For
Yeah.
far as Sanji having a popsicle, or not a popsicle, but a lollipop for a cigarette, or
Exactly.
or the swearing. They have no swearing in there, or like the guns. They have no guns in there, or whatever not.
And at that age, did you feel like that was weird, or did you just because you liked it so much, you just took it all with the package?
I took it all with the package. I paid no mind to it because I was just a kid. Like I really didn't open my mind up until like later on down the line. You know what I mean? Like most adolescents, they don't really adapt to the world like I did because I was nurtured and I was loved and by my parents. You know,
Right,
but
right. And you know what? This is the thing. I mean, as a kid, a lot of people are saying like Dragon Ball Super just ended today, right?
yeah,
A lot of people, the older fans, they have their problems with it. They've had their problems with it over the last, I mean, for a while now. A lot of different characters were just kind of handled. I mean, a lot of people have their gripes with it. But the thing is that a lot of kids just take the whole package. And I bet kids that are watching this are just they were probably just boning out about what happened. They loved it. You know what I mean? They were like, "Oh hell
yeah,
yeah, all the universes are coming back," and we're sitting here like, why is
nah.
Andrew why you know what I mean? Like, why is Andrew 17 making wishes out here, bro? But it's kind of for the kids, but I hear what you're saying because that's where it really makes an impact on you is when you're younger. When you can really mm, it really has a more of an impression on you. But
Yeah,
so, anyways, with you see this, you come home, you put it on channel 33, you're watching it. What do you do? Do you start following it religiously every week, all the way up
every
until
week
what point?
up until I had moved to Garland, actually, with my
Oh, okay.
mom. You know, in Dallas, Texas. I lived in Dallas, Texas, and then I moved, to Garland with my mom. And I never really watched it again. And I've kind of fell off of it. And then a couple of years go by, and I kind of get back on it, like through the internet or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it again, like from the beginning to like a certain part, like Alabasta. I had stopped it. I didn't finish it all the way through and stuff like that. I mean, I finished the Alabasta arc, but I didn't go further because I don't think there was no more episodes on TV or on the internet.
Oh,
It
right,
just
right.
stopped. So I just deaded it. I didn't watch it anymore. But as time goes on, I come back to it. It's great again, some more, and I'm just so in love with it that to the point I started watching it religiously on the internet, and then I started watching the subtitles finally because I always used to watch dub. You know what I mean?
Right, up until that point.
Yeah, I didn't know it was anime at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had no idea either. The way it came
I
off,
didn't
I
know it was
mean,
anime. Yeah, I just thought it was cartoons. You know what I mean?
yeah, like why does the guy have a New York accent? You just figure this is an American show.
Yeah, and like my dad got me into anime. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know it was called anime at the time, but he got me into Dragon Ball Z and Zoids, Case Closed, Toonami shows, the old Toonami shows, Gundam, Gundam Wing. You know what I mean? Just so many different anime out there I didn't know about, and he had got me into to it at a young age. You know what I mean? Like when it first started, like when Toonami first started out, and Dragon Ball Z first started out, it was crazy, man. My
Man,
mind was blown.
man, those channels were lit back then, weren't they?
Yeah, they
Like
were.
they were stacked.
Yeah,
Like you kind of take it for
it was.
granted. Like it's like you look back and you're like, what the fuck? I was watching all these shows. You know what I mean? I learned all these
Yeah,
things that you don't really. I don't know. You don't really see as much as that nowadays. At least like on mainstream somewhere.
yeah.
Would I be right in saying that? I mean,
You will be. I mean, but you just gotta go look and find
you
it,
got to look for it.
like the
That
rare gems.
right, and the internet's here now. When we were younger, the internet wasn't as prevalent. I think, especially if
Yeah,
maybe you didn't have as much money or this and or whatever, you know. But
I agree.
I mean, all right. So you're watching it. At what point do you get into the manga? Because so you start watching the sub. So do you start at some point? Do you go? What you find out about the manga, or how does that work?
I had found out about the manga somehow. I have no clue how I did it, but I forgot. But it was back in 2013. I remember I had finished watching up to the Fishman Island arc, like when it was about to go down in the sea and
Right.
find Fishman Island, but they haven't reached it yet, and it was like a cliffhanger to like a pirate ship in the sea, and I forgot which ship it was from like the enemy. It shows in the previous in the later chapters that it was a
All right.
catfish guy named by something. I forgot his name.
Oh, you
But
kind of came in and out right there. I didn't really hear you so well. Um,
oh, I'm sorry.
no, no, that's all
Uh
right.
I started off watching it during the time they were going down under the sea to Fishman Island, and
Oh, so that was the
there
point you
was
got. That was the point you got into it. That's what you're saying. And the manga.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think I was right around the same time, dude.
You
Uh,
were?
yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit this about this off stream. Most kind of similarly to Martin here. I only was familiar with the show for a while, and it wasn't until a couple years back that I ended up actually getting into the manga. And
Yeah.
actually, well, just to kind of get into how I kind of got into it, I mean, it was almost a little bit of an on and off relationship with me for a while.
Yeah.
Not always by choice either. Maybe a little bit by ignorance and sometimes, but or just not knowing things. But like, I kind of similar to Mark. I would come home and I used to just the one thing I used to really like. The one thing that really I like watching like Naruto, right? Like I
Yeah.
remember seeing when the tuning exams first happened and all the
Oh
beginning shit.
my.
Right, I saw it like when it first
Yeah.
dropped. Like this is gonna be new and shit, and
Yeah.
I was all in it. And then afterwards, One Piece used to come on. It was always like afterwards. So like
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll stick around. And then I checked it out, and at first I was kind of coming off of that
Eh.
Naruto high. I was like a little
Yeah.
confused. Oh,
Yeah.
not confused. I was just kind of like I didn't know how to deal with it. Like here's this guy with the lollipop. They're in the middle of the ocean. This guy's arm stretches. What the you know? But
Yeah.
after a while, I got really curious about it. I was like, what was that show about, dude? And then like I kept just tuning in after like the Naruto, and I got really into it, dude. I mean, I ended up always trying to find the reruns. So I ended up putting all the pieces together, and then
That's
and then
crazy.
yeah. So it wasn't. I found it like through Naruto at the time, and so I watched it for a while, and then eventually, what ended up happening was right around the time where you were talking about, where it started ending, as far as the dub. I didn't really know where to look for the subtitles, or I wasn't really savvy like that. I was a little dumb, dude, to be honest. Uh,
Yeah.
I was like, so I just kind of put it in the closet. I didn't know what to do with it, so I was like, all right, fuck it. I know what it is. But then later on,
Yeah.
once we got internet, I think maybe a couple years later, I remembered it, and I was like, damn, what was that show? And then just like you, I started watching the subtitles, and I
That's
really
dope.
fell in love with it at that point because I was like, I love the Japanese voice actors and shit. You know, I
Yeah.
like their flavor they add to shit, the emotion they add to it. Um,
It grew on me too.
right with that change of the voices, huh? It really adds a different element.
Yeah.
So then, how did it work out? I mean, after after I watched it for a while, then I really started getting back into Naruto. See, I was always more kind of like a loyal kind of like I always knew about like Dragon Ball. I always watched Dragon Ball growing up too.
Yeah.
Never read the manga or anything like that, but I
Me neither.
right. So it was kind of like this thing where I was like, I was really into Naruto, and I was really started getting into like reading all of like Naruto, like right around when Shippuden was starting, and so I kept up with that like pretty much like you know um, like devoutly, and then like honestly, I fucked up. Probably should have been making reviews about Naruto at the time because I mean when it comes to Naruto, I can like just I'm like an encyclopedia and shit. But
Yeah.
right towards the end, like I was still watching the anime of One Piece, and then once Naruto ended, I was like, "What the? I don't." I was having
Right.
withdrawals.
Right.
I was like, "Fuck! I need a manga here," because that was the only one. So right around towards when it was ending, I started hopping onto like One Piece and really started going kind of getting into it, really kind of doing
Yeah.
and it was seamless transition for me. I like both of the series. I mean, for what they're worth, they all have their. I mean, One Piece has a story though that you really can't fuck with. I mean, as far as longevity, as far as just what I mean, characterization, all these
Yeah.
elements. And I'm kind of a nerd for a lot of different things. Like I like I could go like balls deep with like Lord of the Rings, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. I could go heavy with Star Wars. Like I'm kind of a geek, dude, a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so the same thing it kind of follows suit with like One Piece. So and I think the reason I mentioned Lord of the Rings is because a lot of people don't know is that the trilogy of the Ring, the ones that was made into a movie.
Uh huh.
Before that, there was so many events. That was almost like the end of the story as far as problems. Like uh, even The Hobbit. You remember those movies, The Hobbit?
Yeah.
They just that was even like maybe a quarter towards the end. Like it wasn't even towards the midpoint. The guy who wrote it, J.K. Rowling, reminds me a lot of Oda. These are guys that took world building to the extreme. I mean, obviously Oda is still mid production. Oh, what up,
Right.
Teddy? Is that you?
Yo, what's good, Nate?
What's good, bro?
Just chilling, man. Just chilling.
Hey, man, glad you could join in. Right here, I got Don Tom in here. We've been talking a little bit about how we got into One Piece.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, we just kind of just been shooting it and just kind of talking about the origin story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. So why you guys been talking about? Like, what you be saying like, so far?
Well, dude, with the Don Tom here, Martin, he talked about the whole past about how he got into One Piece. You know what I mean? He used to come home as a kid, put on that Channel 33. He'd see it,
Nice.
right? You know what I mean? And
Exactly. Shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I was in the same ballpark, man. I mean, I think we all kind of came home, from school looking for cartoons or whatever, and we
Mm-hmm.
we stumbled upon Little do we know, a 20-year or like a long ass running series here, bro.
It's very long, man. I
Yeah.
mean, we're gonna be grown men when the story's still going. So,
Fuck, I mean, it's the truth, dude.
but I have a question for you guys. So, like, I feel like everybody had their own reason why they got into One Piece initially. I want to know what was it for you guys. I know what was mine. I'll tell you guys later, but I want to know. Kind
Oh, go ahead, man, because me and Don have already kind of talked and extend a little bit. You go ahead.
me, man, it was the fact that the main character's power was rubber. I kid you not. I was like, this dude is stretching. Like that's really what we're doing.
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
happening. Like, bruh, I need to know what's up. And then Zoro got introduced, right? 3 store style. I was like, that's it. I need to know what's happening with the story. You know? And that's how I got hooked. And honestly, I've been telling like people this from day one. It's like if there's one thing that I've never regret in my life is getting to know One Piece. You know, like starting the story and just like look where we are now. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
could never have imagined in my greatest wildest dreams like would be where we at now, based on what we saw pre-time. You know,
Not even close.
I agree.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but at the same time, like I've been seeing ever since I caught up. Like I've been, reading week to week and everything. I'm planning on taking a break because I realize, and maybe part of it is also the Discord is to blame for that. But I feel like I've been too involved into One Piece, and like people always over analyzing everything that's happening and really just breaking it down to a point where they even start making false claims about what's happening in the story just for the sake of discussion and everything. And I feel like it's really taking away from my enjoyment. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to keep, being so up to speed with everything that's happening. I'd rather just binge read or binge watch everything like I did, pre-time skip. Because
I know exactly. I mean, I think we've talked about this a little bit, Teddy, before, especially in the environment like Discord, where it's kind of the sport to interpret and to argue and to kind of make reason of these things that because there's so much room to make reason. Oda is a very vague kind of storyteller at this point, where he kind of just teases us. We don't get numbers. We're left to speculate. We're in the dark. We're in the gray area a little bit for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
that's
And
true. Yeah.
what happens is a lot of people are passionate and they mix passion with opinion, and next thing you know, it just it blows up. It becomes a clusterfuck in some ways.
That's absolutely true, man. And like I said, that's one of the reasons why I'm considering just dropping out of the Discord for a bit, just because I feel like when I'm in there, sometimes I don't even participate too much in discussions just because it's mostly a yelling contest between the regulars over there, and
I agree.
I just go there and I'm mostly spectating, seeing what's happening, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to have to deal with this shit. I kid you not. Here's what I used to do. I used to get on Discord, right? Hop into the voice chat and mute myself so that I just listen to what's happening because I'd be at work, right? You know what I've come to find out? The discussions that they're having there are so retarded sometimes, they're so cancerous. I lose productivity, man. I'm not as efficient as I could be at work. I stopped. I was like, man, this is not right.
That's crazy.
And I can't lie. Life has been so much better since I did. It's like it gets too much at some point. So, like you said, I like when we exchange opinions about certain things. Like for example, let's say I'm going to pick one of their top 5 preferred cancerous topics in the Discord. Doflamingo and Katakuri, who's stronger, right? I don't mind seeing that with somebody
Yeah.
who thinks opposite of me, and we, bouncing back and forth facts about why we think one is better than the other. But at the end of the day, it's just a discussion. I don't take it serious. I swear, some of these niggas in the Discord, man, they are each other's throats. I mean, they're going in and like, no, you don't understand. You creditless dude. Like, you don't. they're always throwing all these new terms and everything. It's like just take this L. It's just like I'm like, bro, it's really it's not that serious, you know. But
Yeah,
they do what they
I
can.
I agree.
I mean, I think where the problems tend to arise is, um, like you're saying, you want to just have a back and forth. You want to exchange opinions, but what ends up happening, I think, is like you said, that people are at each other's throats. It ends up becoming an attack
Mm-hmm.
sometimes on character or things other. Sometimes even besides the story. Um, people say in kind of inflammatory things where it's like, well, we're talking about a story. Like I thought I thought we were here
Yeah,
to have fun and shit. But you
Yeah,
know, yeah, I think it kind of comes with the territory of 12 people in a room, 15 people in a room. I think you're gonna kind of run into a little bit of that just naturally. You
and
know.
you know the thing is, it's true that the amount of people in there is a problem, but I blame the mods because they're not doing their job whenever things get out of hand. Instead of regulating the situation, they kind of feed into it. Like Chatty, for example, I have no personal hate, towards him, but he really he feeds into the chaos in the Discord a lot of times. Like he see what's going on and then he drop in his 2 cents and like and everybody gets fired up again. And I feel like, have you noticed some of Rago's most recent streams? They're more they're more focused because he's actually doing a much better job now of keeping people on topic and making sure that whoever is talking at the time gets to finish what it is they want to say. He's been doing a lot better job at it. Before he used to just sit back and watch the mayhem unfold, and as a spectator,
true.
right, you're like, that's not right. It doesn't make any sense because people are talking over each other, and sometimes you get really interesting ideas or opinions being thrown, but they get drowned in the sea of just yelling and screaming over each other. So,
Yeah. I mean, I don't really see too much in there, Don Tom. Or Martin. I think. Do you find these things to happen, or
What? I had started the Discord, Brago Discord, in like
right?
last year around March 14th. And like, yeah, it was very cancerous. Still is today, even more cancerous. Like I don't be in there as much as I used to back in the day. Cause I used to go by a different name. You know what I mean? Before I had got
I
this
don't
name.
blame
But
Right.
I had to get away from it in order for my channel to grow. Because if I stayed in there, I'd be creditless in my
you.
videos, from just listening to the bullshit. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
had to get away
Exactly.
from it.
yeah, it's like it's become
You
pointless for
can't
me. Like
win.
I was excited at first when I hopped in, and but then I saw what ended up happening. So now I rarely even go in there. I just go see what's up sometimes and then dip out because I feel like One Piece, right, is such an amazing story. It's such an amazing series that you could have awesome conversations over, like talking about anything related to the world of One Piece and even the characters. There's some
Yeah.
characters that never come up in discussions that I personally always think about because I like their design or, you know, their goals, whatever they stood for, even their personalities. Like for example, a lot of people don't remember Kuro, Captain Kuro back in
Oh
Eastwood,
yeah.
back in
I
Right.
reread the arc not too long ago.
which one?
Usopp, Sarah Village.
Yeah, yeah, Server. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he was freaking amazing. I feel like,
Really complex character.
yeah, yeah. And the thing, like his drive, right, was peace of mind. He wanted to
Yeah.
have a peaceful life where he doesn't have to worry about somebody coming for his ass or whatever. And that justified why he wanted to kill all of his men. I don't know how I feel about Django, but everybody else was, on the chopping block. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's kind of original. I can understand that. I don't agree with it, but I can understand that. And I feel like there could be all kinds of discussions about his character, like where he might be today, like what he's up to and things like that. But people just get caught up in the hype and everything, and they forget just how broad the story of One Piece is. Like, do y'all know Legend Mac?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
know.
my dude, right, my nigga, he's been making these different series, like One Piece series. It's like How Strong Is so and so,
Oh,
and
strong.
on one of his latest videos, he was like, I'm gonna need you guys to give me ideas of what other series I could possibly do because I'm running out of characters to do How Strong is, about. And I'm like, bro, we have 600 characters in One Piece, like named
Yeah.
characters, like there's the roster and everything. You're not about to tell me that there aren't enough characters for you to do videos for at least another year, at least, you know. So like people,
And you know what? Let me say, just to interject really quick.
no,
That's
no.
why I like people like Tekking. You know what I mean? Tekking someone who could take a skeleton of a character as far as disposition and information we have on them and stretch it 5 miles into a 20 minute long video.
He has a skill for that. Honestly, I applaud and respect that. I don't know how he does it, but I watch every single one of his videos, like the One Punch Man S Class Heroes series
Yeah,
that
those
he's
are
been
lit.
doing, man. I'm like, he finds a way to make it interesting over 20 minutes about characters that we've only just seen in
Yeah,
in thing like they haven't done anything of relevance.
like
But he
I'll
finds a
listen
way to
to
make the characters.
right. I
It's
mean,
it's honestly it's a skill.
I could listen to him talk about like Scalper Gabon for 30 minutes,
Yeah,
and
like he's
like
just that skilled. Like it's crazy. Say this right here.
so. Anyways,
I,
like we
ne-
said, oh, go ahead, Tom.
I never watched Tekken before, but I might do it tonight.
Hey, yeah, I mean he's one of the Yonka for a reason, bro. He kills it.
Who Tekken?
Tekking.
Yeah.
And so some of these people, I mean, you mentioned Legend Mag. I think as far as YouTube, when I first came to YouTube looking at manga reviewers, he was one of he was, I think, the first person I ever saw. You know,
Really?
yeah,
That's interesting.
That's crazy.
and I was into it, dude. I mean, like you said, I mean, he does tend to cover a lot of the same characters, but he does flesh in different things into it. But as someone who's just getting into it, as far as like the manga and stuff at the time, I was
Yeah,
all
you can
into
really
it.
relate. Yeah, and I have to say right now, my favorite uh, manga and anime reviewer. It's a almost a tie between King of Lightning and Tekken. Those two, they have like King when he does his reactions to the One Piece chapters, they
Yeah,
are freaking amazing, man.
they're
Like
fire.
he adds in different memes and other like, things in there at the right time, and he's hilarious, man. The dude just he knows how to put a video together, like a reaction video. But he's been at it for years. And people don't know. Like
Yeah,
he started out in 2000, I want to say 12.
No, he's an OG like that.
Like yeah, or maybe even before that. But that's about the time I knew about him, and he's always been the thing I like about him. He's a very straight up dude. Like he's very straightforward. Like you never really doubt his stance on like a certain topic or whatever, just because he's always upfront about it. It's like I didn't like this or I like this, and he's very
No,
clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's really smart. I think that's one of the things. He's
Oh hell,
rational. He's smart, and I think. I mean, I could listen to him say that Aokiji's stronger than Akainu, and maybe I don't. Some people might not agree, some may not, but the points he's going to give you are going to be rational
you
through
know
and
what?
throughout.
I wish what you just said, right? I wish people could see that because some people, they get so caught up in how valid they believe their argument is, regardless of the logic that they come to the conclusion of it, that they disregard when somebody comes to them with a logical explanation for why they're saying something. Like when at first when King said that, right? When he said that Aokiji is stronger than Akainu, I was like, bro. But in the story, Akainu won. But then he went into explaining the explanation of why he thought that, right? And a lot of the arguments he brought forward would make sense. Because first of all, they're in a world where Aokiji naturally has an advantage just because he's got more material to work with. Just it's a world just surrounded by seawater. He could just freeze that anytime and do all kinds of nonsense with that.
Yeah.
And the thing that I really understood that King was trying to explain to a lot of those other cats is the fact that just because Aokiji lost to Akainu doesn't mean that in the grand scheme of things, like in the One Piece verse, that Akainu is necessarily stronger than Aokiji. And when he said that, it resonated with me because I play tennis, right? And I follow tennis. And in tennis, there are some players that are in the top 10. They're godly. Like the number one player right now, he's the reason I even started playing tennis. But the thing is, there are people outside of the top 100 that can beat him. Does that mean they're better than him? No. They're outside of the top 100 for a reason. He's
Right.
still overall better than that one, but it was a matchup situation where, he lost because it just wasn't a good day for him, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a lot of things. I think Oda kind of gets a kick out of this because, like you said, a lot of it's matchup. And I
Yeah.
mean, one of the biggest things that I could compare it to, I mean, I'm a big UFC fan.
There you
Um,
go. Yeah, see, if you're into sports, you get it.
I mean, in a fight, in a UFC fight, there's so many things that go into it. Styles, matchups. I mean, some people could be nightmares for other people, and some people might seem like they match up kind of equally, but it might go either way. Out of 10 times, they might knock each other out 5 times each, half and half. So I think it's the same thing with One Piece. I think a lot of these things, Oda thinks in his head, you know what? I think this guy could win, but I'm gonna make this guy win. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
so.
It's
But
funny. Yeah. Hmm? Oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I think that's why it's so fun to speculate, to make theories on these things because probably Oda as someone who seems like he thinks about everything to the T and comes up with things too on the fly. He is just the greatest theorist out there. He himself is a theorist. He makes theories and will put it together. I mean, it's not a theory. Obviously, it's coming from the guy, but it's
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's fun for us people like I mean Martin here is saying he's going to start making more theory videos. I plan on doing more. I've only done one in the past, but um, I mean in a place like maybe Discord, you were to bring that up, it's not the most
It's not the best
healthiest
platform to do
places,
that.
right?
Yeah.
But we have this platform, we have YouTube, you know what I mean? And I really like this format too. I mean, this is the second time I've done like a live stream here on YouTube, and I think it's cool, man. I just want to thank you guys also for showing up, man, because this is
No doubt.
Oh, absolutely, man.
I mean, you guys, like I was saying earlier, Martin's probably in the. I mean, I'm sure do it the downtime, right, Teddy?
Uh, I'm not sure. Like I told you, I've been in and out. I think I've seen him like once or twice, but never really. interacted outside of this. So it's the first time.
And what's your Discord name?
What? Oh, my
Discord
Discord name
name.
is Teddy Gautier. It's like the
I don't think
French
I
name.
saw you. I don't think I saw
Yeah,
you
no,
in there.
I saw you once, but the thing is, whenever you get in the VC chat, most of the time you don't really see the people's names. Like once you're in there, you're just talking to people. So I've been there. Like I
Oh
remember
yeah.
the profile pic. Like I've been there and I saw you like a couple times, but yeah, I'm not there enough, so you probably wouldn't remember me. Some of the other cats they know me kind of, but yeah, because I'm not a regular there. So
Okay,
I
okay, I get
mean,
it.
yeah,
right. So I'm saying like Martin's one of these guys where he's probably one of the best examples of why I like this community. You know, he supports, he plugs people's stuff, upcomers, people that have been in it. You know, I'm sure he's seen people that have come from really humble beginnings to probably a lot bigger now. You know,
yeah.
and
I
right, Martin.
have. I
Right, right.
have.
So you know that's he's one of these kind of like forerunners. I mean, he was on Sombra stream, and Sombra was calling him like a PR agent for the One Piece.
Shout out to
Uh,
BMC.
He's like a publicist. So props to you for that. Always, Mo. I know I said it earlier in the stream, but I mean you're doing some awesome stuff out there, bro.
I appreciate it, bro.
keep doing what you do, homie.
Hey, are you making a channel, bro?
Yeah, I was about to ask you that, Teddy.
Who me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, me? Am I making a channel?
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You
I
should.
created a Discord server just because like I wanted to get people in that are down to chill, not get all heated about One Piece. I mean, I understand there's passion in there, but like you said, some people they confuse passion with their personal opinion, trying to enforce it on other people. So I'm thinking about it. The problem is the way my schedule is set up right now. Like I was
Oh
telling
yeah.
No, it's tricky, bro.
you the other time, yeah, like it's hard for me. Like I want to be able to really, have a platform where I have a regular schedule. I can come in regularly and we can have good talks and everything. So I'm still figuring out my schedule right now. So we'll see. Like if I can find the time, during the week especially, can make it happen. But dude, whenever you have a stream, man, I'm down. Like if I'm available, I'll be
Yeah,
in.
no
Yeah,
doubt,
yeah.
no doubt, bro. And also, like he said, he has a Discord too. Um, I'll post the invite for it too.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
in the
sure.
description, I'll leave that down below. And I mean, I think did so with you said with your origin on how you found out about One Piece. The one things that really intrigued you was the rubber, but after you got into that, were you just hooked from there on out? Did you have any on and offs with it, or were you devout?
So that's a very good question. So see, what happened was I started watching it back home, right? Back home, to Central Africa, and when I was watching it, the channel that I was watching it on didn't have all of the episodes that were out at the time. So every time I watched just a rerun of the same episodes, right? And it stopped whenever they got to Locktown and um, basically right before Dragon got introduced into the picture,
Right.
he got stopped. So then when I came to the US and I discovered the beauty of fast internet, I started watching everything online, right? And so I picked
Yeah.
back up from there and I was so fucking pissed because I was like, how would they stop it right when Dragon comes into the picture, you know?
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, no, it was insane. And when I saw it, I freaked, bro. Like it was crazy. And from then on, it's been a marathon all the way up to basically before the time skip. Like I caught up, and then I was up to date. But
And then you got into the manga around the same time,
I
or was
did,
it
yeah,
later?
because when I caught up to the anime, I was like, man, I cannot wait for what's gonna happen next. And then I discovered the manga, and I discovered that the manga is like know how many chapters ahead. So I was like, you know what? I think I will spoil myself because I do not have the patience. Oda is too slow with this shit, so I need to really, I need to catch up. So I did, and right now I'm actually debating if I should take a break after Whole Cake, just because, um, and like I said earlier, I kind of blame the Discord for that because I've been really just surrounded by One Piece everywhere, just soaked in it. And I mean, I freaking love the story. I love the characters and everything. And but I feel like he's come to a point where I kind of need to reset myself a little bit. So I might not, completely cut off One Piece, like, because I always go back and rewatch some of the stuff that happened before, like even pre-time skip, and some of the funnier moments, some of the badass moments, especially Zoro. Like the guy, man, he just Oda loves him. Like he's been making him
Yeah.
look amazing. So like I always go back and revisit some of his best moments. And
No, he's gonna go ham on this
oh,
next.
it's happening. Like it's happening. It's just a matter of how Oda is going to decide to put it together. But you
But you
know
know
that.
what? You made a good point. I'm sorry to interrupt. You made a
No,
really good point. Um, about I think there's something to not maybe watching it for a period of time and then watching chunks at a time. I
mm-hmm.
think there's something to that. Especially like earlier, I was talking to Martin about I was comparing One Piece to Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a huge world building as far as the books, not just the movies that were made. There was tons of books or information in books predating what happened in the original trilogy. But if you were to watch, if you were there with J.R. Tolkien, the guy who wrote it, and you were to read a paragraph at a time of his story,
Mm-hmm.
it could get kind of weird. I mean, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's how
because
some
it doesn't all mesh together. Yeah.
it could get a little squirrely. But if you look at the whole story, you're like, this is a masterpiece, right? He wrote Elven, a new language. He did this and that, and the same thing with Oda. Look at all these species. Look at all these characters he's fleshed out. I mean, people like Kuro that we forgot about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like even these people, he's put attention to them. And looking back at a whole story, it's like, wow, you know what I mean? And especially towards the end, he's going to tie up a lot of loose ends. At least I think he will. And people are just going to be like, look at this. This is a true Magnus opus, like a masterpiece.
Oh yeah. No, the story of One Piece is it's amazing, and I feel like any faults that people find to the story is due to the fact that they nitpick to an excessive extent because they feel like they need to do that while they're waiting for the next chapter to come out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, for example, I'll give you an example why I always try to make people understand that theories and speculations should remain that and not become like opinion or fact. Remember back on Soul, whenever the situation with Rizzo was going down, and when we got the reveal that Rizzo was on that island the whole time, bro, I was at school when I was reading the chapter,
That's
and when they
oh.
said that, dude, the feels I got, I was like, no, no, you cannot be serious right now, Oda. No way. Like I was free, and you see Luffy's face at the end of the chapter. You can tell exactly what he's thinking. He's like, these are my type of people. And these are people that I could get on my crew in a heartbeat. Because he had that look on his
Yeah.
face. I admire that, right? And I felt like it was an amazing feeling. When you realize these people were dying, almost dying left and right. People lost limbs in this matter. Um,
Yeah.
and to have them come out and say Rizzo is safe, bro, I had all kinds of mixed feelings. I felt like Usopp. Like remember Usopp's reaction? He's like,
Oh yeah.
like I felt just like that. I feel like Oda uses Usopp as a way to channel how we feel in real life, like in the
As a
story.
viewer.
Yeah,
Man,
Yeah.
but
you know
like,
who's someone who I think encaptures really what it is to be a fan of this story.
King Recon?
Wait, who'd you say?
King Recon. Like that guy, almost every chapter is a 10 out of 10 for him.
Oh no. Yeah, he's the same kind of boat. But the guy who I think really I gotta give it up to is Uzumaki Khan.
I've seen some of his reactions. Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
he'll just be like, "Yo!" It's like
yeah,
It was
yeah.
dude,
crazy.
like he'll have wood hit him in the back of the head because he doesn't even
I
care,
fucking
bro.
love
I
it,
saw that
man.
one.
It's legit. I like it. I mess with it. I mess with the long way.
But
Um,
that's the. I mean, I feel the same way inside when I watch these chapters. I mean, maybe I might have criticisms, but I look at it knowing this is developmental. We're not at the
mhm.
last. We're not at the
Exactly. Like
butterfly.
all of that is leading somewhere, and once we get there, everything will suddenly be like, oh, like Oda does that all the time. But I got off track of the first one I was trying to make earlier regarding
Good.
theories. I was saying the reason why that Raizo moment was so meaningful, so impactful, was because we didn't know. Like Oda did an amazing job to he convinced I don't know about you guys, but he convinced me that Riser wasn't there. Until Kinemon, showed up and showed the tattoo and everything, I was convinced that Riser wasn't there.
I mean, that's Oda's trick, man. I think
And
he
you know
does
who
it.
pissed me off when they came out with a video about that chapter?
Hmm.
Joy Boy.
What
He
is that?
pissed me off so much because he felt proud that he knew that Riser was on there on the island and was alive. He was proud of that. And I was thinking, but dude, you are completely losing enjoyment from the story. And when he says I still enjoy the story, I call BS on that because no, there is no
Yeah.
way because you just don't get the same kind of impact when you've already predicted that it was going to happen. Like, sure, you might be like, "Oh, I called it," but like to me, I'd rather not be able to call it. I ought to be
Yeah.
able to be shocked. That's one of the greatest appeals of this story is that you never know what's going to happen.
I mean, I
And
think that's why it's important to when we make speculations, you shouldn't shoot it down if it's out of left field because chances are it's going to be out of left field, but just from a different field. You know,
yeah, mhm.
I mean,
Word.
this thing with the fishermen, I think half of the people forgot that about the fisherman pirates and that Watsumono was out there lurking, bro. Um,
Yeah,
so I was hyped up about that because it's like I didn't see it coming. I forgot, and I loved it.
that's what I'm saying. And because of all the theories and everything that's been said in Discord on Brago streams and everything, there are a lot of things that happen in the recent chapters that didn't shock me as much as they should have, just because there had been so much talk about it already. Like for example, whenever Peckham's mentioned the fact that Pedro was the only one that could, calm him when he goes into Sulong form. Yes, it made sense, right? Yes, it was
Yeah.
predictable, but I feel like if there hadn't been such extensive discussion about it, it would have had more of an impact. If
Right.
versus what happened. Like when he said that, I was like, yeah, of course. Why is he saying it? And then I was like, oh, yeah, we're not supposed to remember that. It's just that in the Discord and in Brago streams, always talking about that stuff all the time. So it stays fresh in people's minds, and that's why I was thinking, if I don't take a break from One Piece, at least from the Discord, I'm going to take a big break from Discord, unless like if because I have my channel, my server right on Discord, so I might be in there sometimes, like having calls and talking to people and all that. But I'm not. I think I'm gonna take a break from Brago's Discord, man. It's too crazy in there.
Yeah, man. I
It-
mean, I think what Martin was saying earlier was a pretty good point. I mean, I I think it. I mean, I like hearing the opinions you like to have on this thing. I mean, if eventually you'd be able to make a One Piece some kind of thing, I mean, I think that would be sick, dude. Because yeah, I mean, you're a really rational voice when it comes to this kind of stuff too. You know what I mean?
Thank you,
Yeah.
man. I try to be. I try to be, but yeah, it's hard. Like it's easier when I'm talking to guys like you, where we can have a discussion where even if we don't agree, at least you take the time to let the other person explain the logical train of thought that they went through to get to wherever it is they got to. Versus in there where I kid you not, I've heard very interesting ideas being thrown in there in that Discord, even in Brago streams. The thing is, those ideas never get explored. Why? Because it's absolute chaos. You see?
You know what
And
it is?
then
I think it's similar to. I like to sometimes I listen to like podcasts and I listen to like scientists and stuff like that, and I
yeah,
notice there's something interesting when it comes to the field of science and these intellectuals is that when there's a new idea that's presented, a lot of people tend to attack it because maybe it conflicts with something personal. But this isn't just like a manga thing. I think this is a human thing. I think this is an installation that's been around for a long time where it's like you say something and it's like it becomes personal because you're attached to whatever you're thinking, your truth, and you think like, oh, you're trying to, you know what I mean? You're trying to defile my info, so I'm gonna shut you down. So
Yeah, that's
you know,
crazy.
I think it's all just comes with
really.
the territory, man. I don't really take it personal. I know that that's where it comes from, so I don't really uh, indulge in getting angry or defensive or what have you.
You know what you just said is absolutely the truth because um, and I've noticed that happen in real life too, where whenever you say something that challenges a person's sense of identity of who they are, it's an uncomfortable feeling for them because then they have to question what they've always believed in for the longest time, and they don't like that. And that's where that's where the counters come from, where you're trying to explain something and they don't even want to listen to your logic. I have found a way around that, and it came with a lot of trial and error. I'm not gonna lie. Like uh, growing up, I've always been on the smarter side of things, so I always thought I was right whenever I said something, and especially because I try to be as logical as possible. So when I lay down my 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 arguments and the logic that I follow to get to the conclusion, I used to have a big problem when people told me I was wrong or they didn't agree with me, right? So what I ended up doing was using those times that I discussed things with other people as opportunities to learn and to grow myself. Like I never go into an argument thinking that I'm absolutely right because there's a couple of things. Is one, whatever facts that I'm going in the argument with might be outdated and I don't know about it.
Uh,
Right.
Another thing is that there may be a perspective to whatever the topic is that I haven't explored. But once you take the time to listen to what other people say, suddenly it's like, whoa, I did not even like seriously like it's almost a physical thing that you feel in your brain where it's like a ticking where you're like, oh wow, I never thought about it this way. And so you open up a whole new perspective on the issue. And I've come to really appreciate that because it expands your horizon, you know. But then again, you have to be open to that. A lot of people aren't. So that's why it's like when it comes to certain things, right? You got to try to separate your your sense of self and identity from the argument, where to me, it's always just an opportunity to learn, versus for some people, it's more like you're fighting me or who I am, so I have to retaliate, you know?
And that's the best approach for discourse as far as just getting points across, understanding, hearing what they have to say, knowing where they come
Yeah.
from and where you come from, but also realize where you stand isn't might not be the most structurally sound as far as facts and this and that. It could fall
Exactly.
from under you, but at least you go into it knowing that.
Hmm.
But how I mean, how do you feel about this, Martin?
I'm sorry, I zoned out for a bit.
Damn it.
Just kind of about interpreting um, uh, One Piece as far as kind of like, are you afraid? Because I know you said you want to make theories. Are you afraid of what people think, or I
I'm
mean, how
not
do you
afraid.
go
I'm
ahead?
not afraid what people would think of me because I know my theories are not accurate. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like, I'm just trying to have fun with it. Really, at this
You
point,
see, I
not
miss that.
not worry about anything.
I miss that so much. That's the way One Piece theorists used to be back in the day, where nobody was taking me serious, but we just like the fact that people would think, oh, this could be a possibility. Like nobody was thinking, oh, this is definitely going to happen, or they didn't get as I don't want to say, as invested in the theories as they do. Like it's come to a point now where there's some theories that have run around the community so much that they've almost become fact. Like the whole Shiryu is going to get the diamond so that Zoro can cut him. I am so pissed that it's almost gotten to the level of a fact that people just throw it around. And I always remind them, wait a minute, what in the world makes you think that? Like sure, it's possible that he may even already have the fruit right now just because there was a whole debacle between Blackbeard and the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates with Marco, leading the charge. But like we don't have just because there was some, reference to Zoro potentially cutting Diamond after he defeated Mr. One does not necessarily mean it's going to go down the way that you want with Shiryu getting the like it's things like that where I'm like, I miss the old One Piece community where we were literally just talking about having fun with it. But
I
like
think it still lives, though. I
Yeah,
think it still lives. I
and
mean,
yeah, I
case in
know
point,
it
right here, dude.
somewhere.
I think
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
true.
But I feel like we're a minority if you think about it. Like we're a very small minority compared
I
to
think
everybody
maybe
else.
we're just not as loud. Maybe I think
Maybe.
I think to
Yeah, it
some,
may be that.
because I mean I see low key stuff. I mean I was just talking to Martin that him and Sombra did this. They just started this thing called Manga Tuber Tryouts, and in it it's a series where pretty much I think they've done two now where it's like they talk to these up and comers and they just kind of ask them like a rapid fire question of that's kind of what inspired me to do this thing because I wanted to know kind of what a little bit of the backstory of these people who are into it, because that's important because I think that's brings light to what sparked enthusiasm, you know.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
brings it back, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. And yeah, man. I mean, it was just a really good times. And one of the reasons I actually even subscribed to Joy Boy initially was because the theories he used to make used to be about the world of One Piece, like what could the Void Century be about,
His Void
or
Century stuff is fire. That was the stuff that
it
got
is
me hooked on him.
absolute fire. That's like I would get chills when I watch this because I was like, wow, that actually like that makes a lot of sense. And so I was like,
Yeah.
if that's the type of material he puts out there, I'm down with it. So I subscribe. But now, I mean, I still watch his videos, but some of them, I just feel like he always is willing to, like, he always wants to convince his audience of a certain series of events going down. And I'm not necessarily sure that I agree with that because you're basically saying, like, I kid you not, he even said, this is what makes the most sense to the story. Basically, implying that if Oda goes a different route from what he believes to be the right, way for the story to unfold, he's not going to be down with it. And he's basically saying that Oda will be a poor story writer just for the
But
fact
I get how that comes off a little different. But I think what's going on there is he's a theorist through and through. So I think someone like him or someone like Dritz, these are people that sit around and really have to uh, pick at the bone to really get what they're trying to talk about. And they somewhat become writers in their own way. So when they look at these things, they almost look at it, try to look at it through his eyes, and they become like writers in a sense. And so when they look at it, they're like, this is probably exactly how I would write it. So he needs to write it like this. But
Yeah.
really, I mean, Oda's a mad scientist. He's a mad scientist creating like a Frankenstein in his basement and shit.
yeah, exactly. And that's where I'm like, the thing is, and here's why I tell you that I don't like the way, like, the reasoning behind why they think things should go one way or another. Remember the whole thing with Shanks stopping the war?
Yeah.
Apparently, in an interview, Oda admitted to the fact that that wasn't initially supposed to happen, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is, we're thinking, like they're using what the story is giving them to make speculations about what could possibly happen. I admire that and I respect that. However, they cannot take that and decide that this is the way the story should go for it to make sense. Because believe me, Oda could have freaking Kaido drop in there and find a way to justify it. This is crazy, right? It's a completely crazy speculation. But
Yeah.
while everything is happening in Whole Cake, we don't know what's happening in the rest of the world. So anybody,
Exactly.
freaking Blackbeard, could swoop in there and be like, "Hey, I got word that there's chaos here. Let me see what this rope poneglyph is all about."
I
That's
mean, a
typical
perfect
Blackbeard.
example of this is Stussy and Big News just took off. It's like
Exactly. Who could
that
have
that
who could
that
have called
opens
that?
such a host of different things where it's like, what, like, you know what I mean? They carried some vital information where it's like, what the fuck? If this even gets to the world government, if this gets to who knows who, what, you know?
Yeah, exactly. The implications of that are massive. Even Mondor, he knows this too. It's like, oh no, we absolutely need to get a hold of that big news because he's about to go run his mouth because he wants a big scoop. He knows he's going to sell that paper like hotcakes, and like we can't have that happen.
And that's what keeps us coming back, man. I think that's all. Some people dislike it. Some people are uncomfortable with it because they're like, they don't like sitting in the vagueness and the uncertainty. But for me, I love it. I think you guys do too, from what I've heard you guys say, and that's kind of what makes us these fans. You know, we have faith in Oda because we know he's a good writer. We've seen it time and time again. You know, and
Oh yeah.
I agree.
man, on that note, I know it's getting kind of late. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Um, this is a sick stream, man. I really like how it turned out. I like just chatting with you guys. I'm definitely going to do more in the future.
Absolutely, man. Do it.
Hopefully, get more people in here.
Yeah.
Hit up more
Yeah.
people on Discord. Um, I mean, it'll be
Wait,
sick,
yeah,
man.
and let's make sure we bring like-minded people here, like not necessarily in terms of how they feel about the story, but just their personalities and where they stand with that. Because I do not wish to have people like, as much as I love Ty, I do not wish to have people like me here just because.
You know, man, I love Ty, man. I gotta say it. And I'm not even trying to give him neck like he always talks about.
You give me
but
bad head right now.
but I think he's funny, man, and uh, I think he's entertaining. I think he gives a different,
Oh,
not
super
contrarian point, but
entertaining.
he just comes out of he just throws curveballs, and I think you need that sometimes, you know.
Oh, dude, you know what? Actually, I take back what I said. Maybe Ty could actually hop in here because I kid you not. When I was telling you about how I've heard some really good ideas, but they get shut down. He is the source of many of those good ideas. But the thing is, he always gets talked over by some of the other cats um, in the streams and everything, and he always has an
Hockey.
issue
Is it
sometimes
hockey?
fleshing out arguments. Yeah,
Hockey.
yeah, like hockey and all that. So, um, Yeah, like if we can get him in here, man, that'd be cool. But him and Brago, I think they've been through stuff in real life or something, so they're hella close. So I don't know if we'll be able to get him in here, but if we can, that'd be awesome. That'd be dope.
Yeah, man. Eventually, we'll get more people. I mean, uh, I know Don on some of his streams. He has some of the coolest, chillest people too, like-minded people. You know,
Yeah. Shout out to
I
them.
like listen. Shout out to them, man. Um, I like the thing you've been doing, Martin, where you shout out all your people like in the video in your videos and stuff. You
I
add them and
should shout
stuff.
them out in person, you know what I mean? But I can't do that. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, you have a huge list. It would be kind of
Yeah.
hard, but that's what I'm talking about, man. So, like I'm saying, Teddy, like yeah, like Martin here, he's in with like the people that are really like-minded like that. So
Okay, that dude, I'm totally down, bro. Just yeah, just let me know what's up because like and feel free to let me know if you're ever looking for topics of discussions and everything because like I said, One Piece, the world of One Piece is so huge. We could have a discussion topic for every day of the year for at least a year, even just because there's just so many things you can talk about.
word,
Yeah.
word, man.
Hit
So
me
It's
up.
like,
Hit me up on Twitter.
oh yeah, oh you're saying Teddy or me?
Teddy.
wait, what's up?
Oh,
I said hit me up
oh
on
for
Twitter.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh well, but I mean, I'm not too much on Twitter like that. But you know what, man? Sure.
yeah,
Or
just make a One Piece
Discord.
Twitter, bro, and then.
Yeah.
But
So
bro, yeah. So just to kind of wrap it up, also, Martin, if you want to plug anything, plug your channel, plug anything you want, feel free. Go
I
ahead.
actually I actually wanted to say one thing to you, Ren, that
yep.
the library. It was the library. How I got into manga, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah, man. It's crazy. I just now thought about it. But this is
man.
Dude with a Downtown. And yeah, shout out to Ren for having me here. And Teddy.
Oh, oh, anytime, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
And once again, bro, do it with the Don Tom. It's spelled as it is, all caps though. Space
And
between
spaced
each
out.
word,
All
spaced
right.
out. Do it with the Don Tom. He puts out videos on about One Piece and Kingdom. Soon to be doing more theories, and he does discussions just like this. And Teddy has a Discord. I'll leave it in the description. And hey, bro, thank you guys again for
Thank you.
coming.
Hey,
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
this was awesome, man. All right.
It was
This was
awesome.
sick. And think anyone like the stream if you liked it. Share it, show it to people, and we're gonna get more people, and we'll just keep doing it, man.
yeah, absolutely, man.
All
Let's
right,
get it.
bro. Much love to everybody who watched this. Leave comments what you thought, and this is the Ren review, bro. Peace, everybody.
Peace.